Yep, right there.
In Cali and Medellin.
All right, there we go. I had to get on the freaking part right here, you know what I'm saying? But what's good, YouTube, man? It's your boy, man, J. Willie Silly, man, a.k.a. Mr. Take It Easy. For you, life easy. But make sure y'all follow my Instagram and Twitch. In the description down below, everything you know about your boy Jay is in the description down below, you know what I'm saying? But we got Pablo Escobar's Worst Enemy, Part 2, the Cali Cartel. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, y'all, I got a lot of cartel videos that, you know, like I said, Twitch stream. Don't worry about what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? This is for YouTube only. But I got a lot of freaking cartel reactions, bro, for YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of cartel reactions. So if y'all want to go look into the cartel playlist section, y'all can do that, man. But we got Pablo Escobar's Worst Enemy, the Cali Cartel Part 2. If y'all want to see Part 1, it's in the playlist section as well, man.
Tensions between Cali and Medellin had intensified by the end of 1986 during a meeting with all the biggest Colombian traffickers.
But Pablo Escobar
had called them together to discuss a project, the formation of a super cartel, which he would obviously lead. More money, more economic and political power were at stake. Pablo would have the right to approve every shipment and would also receive 30% of the earnings for each cargo. This proposal was, of course, not well received by everyone, especially the Cali bosses, who were not thrilled with the offer. Their lack of enthusiasm greatly angered Pablo.
You was too demonic, Pablo, bro. You was too demonic. Pablo was doing it too much. He was too out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Honestly. And like I said, bro, I feel like honestly, if Pablo did not try to get into that politician role, Pablo would have still been alive, man. And I feel like if Pablo wouldn't have killed them dudes in his prison, he would have still been alive. You know what I'm saying? But Pablo was too big, bro.
Meeting cursing
got too big for his own good.
The possible war.
Too successful.
The Cali and Medellin cartels then began to denounce each other's cocaine shipments to the DEA. Pablo became even more furious when he discovered that the Cali cartel had shifted its smuggling route from Florida to Mexico, forming an alliance with the Guadalajara cartel. Additionally, the two cartels began to engage in more aggressive competition for the cocaine market in New York. But what truly marked the beginning of the war between Cali and Medellin was the incident between Pablo Escobar and Pacho Herrera at the end of 1987. The conflict started in New York, where a dispute broke out between two drug traffickers over a woman.
Over a woman? Y'all see what I'm saying? He said he thought he was untouchable. The nigga dang near was untouchable, though. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. If y'all don't know, you know, like I said, his son said that Pablo always said that he'll kill himself if he ever was getting caught. But I honestly felt like Pablo, bro, wanted to get caught because bro literally knew that he was getting tracked. He was getting traced. You know what I'm saying? He knew he was getting tracked, but bro called his family on the phone. I feel like bro wanted to actually just go out. You know what I'm saying? I actually wanted to get caught, honestly, bro. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if Pablo didn't want to get caught, bro wouldn't have got caught. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, you feel me? But, you know, his son think that he killed himself. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, you feel me? Some people think the freaking DA killed him. Some, you know, his son saying that he killed himself. You know what I'm saying? Honestly. But the man was dang near untouchable. The man was so dangerous that he had freaking DA agents. The man had cartel and DA agents clicking up together. It was to a point in time, man, niggas didn't even care what the freak these other cartels were doing. These other cartels were doing the same thing Pablo was doing. You know what I mean? Hanging niggas on the street, doing all type of craziest. They did not care. They just wanted Pablo Escobar off the streets. That man won every war he was in. I ain't gonna cap. Bro was too dangerous to be alive. That's what I'm saying. Bro wasn't even in the game no more. They still want that nigga gone. Bro was too dangerous to be alive, bro.
Killed the others. Deceased's friends were determined to take revenge. Allies of Pablo Escobar contacted the Medellin cartel's leader for help. Pablo agreed and swore that the killer would die. Fearing for his life, the murderer turned to an old prison mate he had shared a cell with in the United States. This old prison mate was none other than Pacho Herrera, one of the four bosses of the Cali cartel. To save his friend, Pacho blocked Pablo Escobar's order for the execution, which Escobar saw as an affront to his power and authority. Pacho's insolence was more than just a lack of respect for Pablo. It was a personal insult, and it had to be avenged.
Yeah, Pacho was
Escobar,
different.
Therefore, declared that if Pacho insisted on intervening, he would be assassinated as well. At this point, the Cali bosses gathered and decided to protect Pacho. A death in Queens could not justify such a bloodbath in Colombia, Gilberto said during a phone conference with Escobar. But Escobar interrupted and declared,
Then this is war, and I'm going to kill every one of you sons of bitches.
For the gentlemen of Cali, there was no turning back. The war against Medellin was officially declared. Faced with this new reality, the Orejuela brothers abandoned their efforts to legitimize their empire and continued in the highly profitable business of drug trafficking. After all, to fight the Medellin cartel and eventually defeat the feared Pablo Escobar, they would need money, lots of money. Of the two cartels, it was Cali that struck first. The target, the Monaco building in Medellin, Escobar's permanent residence with his family. The attack was launched on January 13, 1988. That morning, one of the best assassins from the Cali cartel parked a car full of dynamite under the 8-story building. Escobar's family was peacefully sleeping when the bomb exploded at 5:30 a.m.
Dang, they struck Escobar first.
The explosion occurred within a 3-kilometer radius, shattered windows throughout the neighborhood, and left a crater 3 meters deep in the street. 2 night watchmen were killed, and Escobar's 4-year-old daughter permanently lost the hearing in one ear.
Dang.
But Pablo himself was unharmed. In fact, he wasn't even in the building that day. Pablo suspected that the Cali cartel was behind the bombing, a suspicion that was confirmed when he questioned the bomb maker. The retaliation came swiftly. In revenge, Escobar launched a series of bombings against a national chain of pharmacies owned by the Orejuela family, pharmacies that were used as a means to launder a large portion of their money. And the war intensifies. Cali sends a team of 7 assassins to track down Escobar. A week later, they all return in boxes, chopped into pieces.
I'm saying that's what he want, bro. That's what he want. That's what Pablo wants, bro. That nigga want. You know what I'm saying? The only reason Pablo dead, bro, because of the DA. I gotta understand, bro. The United States of America, bro, and took down some of the biggest, bro. They need the United States. I'm talking about nigga always talking bad about the United States, bro. United States is the reason why half of these niggas lost. United States, bro, you know what I'm saying? El Chapo, all these niggas, man. You feel me? All these niggas, man, all these big time names, bro. United States literally had to get off the streets. Without the DEA, bro, Pablo would have still been alive, most definitely, bro.
A week later, they all return in boxes, chopped into pieces. Medellin had, let's say, sent them back to the sender. At the end of 1988, an explosion devastates 3 houses in an upscale neighborhood in Cali. Miguel Rodriguez is the target. Fortunately for him, the bomb goes off prematurely, about 800 meters from his residence, killing the 2 assassins who were responsible for it. To find a way to kill Pablo, the gentlemen of Cali turned to their counter-surveillance expert, Jorge Salcedo. Jorge Salcedo was a local mercenary who had been recruited by the Orejuela brothers to protect them and their families against Escobar's hitmen. Before being recruited by the cartel, Salcedo considered himself more of a businessman than anything else, and he had no desire to be involved in drug trafficking. Eager for action and adventure, he agreed to meet with the bosses to find out why they wanted to hire him. The meeting takes place in one of Pacho Herrera's houses. All the gentlemen of Cali are present, and they immediately get to the point.
Pablo is a bandit, a criminal, a crazy guy. Wives, children, friends. No one is safe.
At that moment, Jorge Salcedo is struck by a sharp contrast. Despite all the money they have, the 4 bosses present in the room seem terrified of Escobar.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. Escobar killed my friend Rodrigo Lara Bonilla, a very good man.
The former Colombian Minister of Justice, assassinated by Pablo, was indeed a former classmate of Salcedo's, who upon speaking about it feels intense emotion. He had rarely spoken about the murder of his friend, but here in the presence of Escobar's enemies, he rediscovers his deep anger. Now, with the Cali bosses, he shares a common feeling of hatred for the man who executed his childhood friend.
It was a terrible tragedy. It was also stupid. Sometimes, Pablo ignores his own best interests. He goes to war and expects to win friends. He's a fool, a dangerous fool.
At this point, Jorge Salcedo still doesn't know exactly what the drug lords of Cali
You
want.
know what I'm saying? Cause I'm like, with me, man, honestly, you know what I'm saying? Just keeping it real with y'all. I'll never in my life be friends with a nigga like Pablo. Honestly, I can't be friends with a nigga like Pablo. I would not want to engage with a nigga like Pablo. I don't want to talk to a nigga like Pablo. I'm cool, bro. The best thing for you to do, you know what I'm saying, with a nigga like that is stay far away from that nigga.
Him until Miguel speaks up.
We want Pablo Escobar dead. And we want you and your British commandos to kill him.
Adds Gilberto, mentioning British mercenaries who had already worked with Salcedo on a previous mission.
This man was in plenty wars, bro. A lot of people, I don't even know how he survived that long.
Attracted to Colombia under the pretext of fighting communism, these mercenaries had ended up entangled in a territorial war over cocaine laboratories. They were well paid, and their leader, David Tompkins, was eager to work more in Colombia. In February 1989, Tompkins receives a call from Jorge Salcedo.
Are you prepared to come back for another mission? Yes, subject to terms and conditions.
A few days later, Tompkins and his men arrive in Colombia. Their mission is clear: kill Pablo Escobar. The Cali bosses provide them with all the necessary equipment to carry out the mission. Tompkins and his group are well equipped.
Nigga was
The
so
idea of
dangerous.
receiving up to $3 million for success motivates them more than anything. Tompkins wastes no time and takes a small plane to fly over Pablo Escobar's massive property, the Hacienda Nápoles, which spans nearly 3,000 hectares. Tompkins scouts the location and takes photos of the impressive estate. There, he realizes how complicated it will be to reach Pablo. With his men, he thinks of a plan and ultimately prefers to land a helicopter on the tennis court of the Medellin cartel boss. Since the police had never been attacked during their visits to Hacienda Nápoles, Tompkins and his men decide to impersonate police officers. This tactical advantage is something they won't waste. For this, they are provided with a Huey helicopter, which they paint to make it appear as though it belongs to the Colombian authorities. While the British mercenaries rehearse their drills at their base camp by throwing grenades and shooting at imaginary enemies, the heads of the Cali cartel work on finding Escobar's exact location.
See, like I said, bro, I gotta understand, bro. Like this right here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is smart, bro, but you gotta understand, man, the nigga Pablo was, man, the nigga was always 10 steps ahead, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's why I be trying to tell y'all, smart. Smart. You see the difference between these street niggas and these real killers? Smart. You know what I'm saying? Brains, bro. Use their brains, bro. You know what I'm saying? This is the difference between fake killers and real killers. These some real killers right here. You know what I'm saying? These some real freaking killers. That man Pablo got all type of freaking mansions all across. Man, that nigga probably ain't at that mansion. That nigga got another mansion over here, another mansion over there, another mansion over there. That man got so many freaking mansions, bro. You know what I mean? A nigga like him, man, he already know he can't have no one house. That nigga even got mansions for his freaking money only. Bro only had money. That mansion was only for his money. Bro was making so much freaking money, man. Nigga making so much money he couldn't even spend it. Nigga didn't want to bury all the money, man. That nigga bought himself a mansion. All right, I'm gonna buy myself a mansion, nigga, and it's gonna be a freaking money spot. You feel me? Bro was making too much cash. Bro was too known. They should have knew that, though. Bro was too known. Bro was too big of a name, bro, to be posted up in one crib.
Information filters through about where Pablo might be.
Probably not even bro main house.
Mercenaries receive a coded
They got so
message
many
in
mansions,
Spanish via
man.
radio. Pablo Escobar is in his pool at Hacienda Nápoles. But when the time comes, Tompkins and his men have only one Huey helicopter instead of the two they were supposed to have.
Yeah,
This
surveillance,
was
though.
planned, so the mercenaries refused to proceed with the mission for safety reasons. But Gilberto doesn't care. This may be their only chance to take down Escobar. Gilberto announces yet another last-minute change. Once the mercenaries land and launch the attack, the plane will land on the other side of the estate, with more than a dozen hitmen sent by Pacho, who still has an unfinished score to settle with Pablo. Finally, the helicopters loaded with explosives and ammunition take off, and Tompkins and his men head toward Hacienda Nápoles. It's the moment of truth for the Cali bosses. The journey proceeds normally until the rain begins to pour. A violent wind shakes the men from side to side. The helicopter carrying the mercenaries dives into dense clouds, forcing the pilot to fly blind.
I'll dive to it.
So you telling me the
helicopter...
Dang, so the only reason... So Pablo probably would have died. No cap, I ain't know this. Pablo probably would have got smoked. You know what I mean? Honestly. You feel me? Because he was in the pool. You feel me? And basically the only thing that saved Pablo's life that day was the storm. So Pablo probably would have got smoked. So he was definitely at the crib. He was at the house.
For carrying Tompkins and his men.
I forgot they say he was under surveillance. You got to realize he's the best of the best. So he was under surveillance. You know what I mean? So probably would have died, but they ain't finna just kill Pablo like that. You know what I mean? Of course, that nigga got all type of hitman around the freaking crib. You know what I mean? But
crashes on the side of a mountain.
This right here just show you how desperate they were to get Pablo off the streets right here, bro. Them niggas freaking doing this in the storm. Man, F that, nigga. I don't care about this storm, nigga. We gotta get this nigga gone.
As a result of the crash, the pilot is killed, while most of the mercenaries are seriously injured. The operation to kill Escobar is a failure. The Cali cartel must...
But they had $3 million on this nigga head, though.
The good news, however, is that Pablo was unaware of the crash in this assassination attempt. On the other side, Escobar is increasingly hunted by the Colombian authorities since the murder of Luis Carlos Galan. The murder of the politician triggered a wave of national police and military operations against suspected drug traffickers, with 10,000 of them being arrested. The Colombian president at the time even accepted help from the U.S. government, which provided financial and military aid, as well as crucial intelligence to fight the cartels. This crackdown is felt by Pablo Escobar as a personal attack, but it doesn't only affect Medellin. It targets all the drug traffickers in the country, including the Cali cartel, which will have over 80 of its planes confiscated, severely reducing its illegal operations for several weeks. The British commando group hired by Cali recovers from the helicopter crash. In the meantime, most of the mercenaries abandon the project and return home. Some even shared the story of their Colombian ordeal with the media, making the assassination attempt on Pablo public. This did not seem to bother the Orejuela brothers, who were rather pleased to hear the news. It was meant to send a message to Escobar, showing him that the Cali cartel was hunting him down. However, reaching Pablo Escobar becomes increasingly difficult. Hunted by the authorities, the Medellin boss lives underground and is constantly on the run. Still waging his war against the Colombian state, he becomes uncontrollable. On December 6, 1989, he blows up the DAS headquarters in downtown Bogota with a truck loaded with half a ton of explosives. The building housed the Colombian intelligence services, as well as the FBI and the CIA. The toll is heavy, 52 dead and over 1,000 injured.
52 dead, over 1,000
At a weekly
injured.
security meeting, Miguel expresses concern.
How can the men be so insane?
Then the Medellin cartel decided to target Pacho Herrera, Pablo Escobar's main target. It is September 25th, 1990. Pacho is playing football peacefully with his men when a group of killers armed with automatic rifles arrives and begins spraying the crowd. The players on the field stop chasing the ball and instead start running for their lives. By chance, Pacho emerges to escape the massacre in time, which leaves around 20 dead. That day, he promises to seek revenge, a vow that will be carried out when he captures one of the men involved in the massacre. The captive is transported by helicopter to Pacho's ranch, where he meets a tragic fate. Pacho's men tie the captive's legs to one vehicle and his arms to another. The man is spat on and kicked mercilessly. Once securely bound, the engines start, and the vehicles begin to slowly pull away from each other. His arms and legs are stretched until they eventually tear from their sockets. For half an hour, the remains of the man are dragged between the two vehicles, which move slowly until he stops breathing. It had become clear that the gentleman of Cali, when provoked, could be just as ruthless as Pablo.
And they made the nigga watch it. Just imagine, bro, you feel me? You see your friend get ripped into freaking pieces, you know what I'm saying, by some niggas, man, with a motorcycle. Just imagine that, man. You know what I mean? What you gonna do? Get back? What you gonna do? Slide on them, man? This ain't no regular street gang, man. This ain't no BDs. This ain't no Bloods. This ain't no Crips. You know what I mean? This is a whole army that you talking about. This is a cartel, man. What you gonna do? You gonna get back in blood? He gonna be dead by next week.
Escobar increased his pressure on the government by kidnapping members of Colombia's elite. One of the hostages was a famous television presenter and the daughter of a former president. Her family feared that any rescue attempt would be fatal, given that the authorities were known to indiscriminately shoot everyone during these raids. The family of the captive urged the president to take no action, but the raid still took place, and the unfortunate hostage perished. Heartbroken, the mother placed the blame not only on the traffickers, but also on the president, which has no choice but to negotiate an agreement with Pablo to end it all. With the help of a former televangelist, Pablo negotiates an agreement to surrender to the government. However,
if he built his own
the
prison,
surrender comes with a condition: the abandonment of the extradition treaty. The deal is struck, and Pablo surrenders. He is allowed to serve his sentence in a prison called La Catedral, a prison that he built himself. The Colombian government was so
look at his prison, y'all. This was his prison. This was his prison right here. They were so eager to get that man off the street. This was his prison right here. He had his own guards. His guards was his hitman. It wasn't like prison for real. That nigga, man, bro. The man was different, y'all, bro. Man was different.
Pablo surrenders. He is allowed to serve his sentence in a prison called La Catedral, a prison that he built himself. The Colombian government was so eager to put Escobar behind bars that it allowed the world's most wanted man to dictate almost every aspect of his incarceration.
Look at this.
No one had access to La Catedral except those authorized by Pablo. It was a real fortress that would make the task of the Cali bosses trying to reach Escobar much more difficult. Jorge Salcedo is thus summoned to a meeting with two of the Cali bosses, Pacho and Miguel.
Storm a government prison?
Salcedo doesn't believe it, shocked that the bosses want to use the mercenaries for such a bold and risky mission.
We will bomb La Catedral. Hit Pablo's cell.
Look at him.
What? From the air?
The two bosses are so excited about their new plan that they don't notice Salcedo's lack of enthusiasm.
But it's a terrible idea.
Reluctantly, Salcedo is forced to comply. He travels to El Salvador to negotiate the purchase of 4 Mk-82 bombs. The Cali cartel has a contact there, a Salvadoran army general, who agrees to sell the bombs for nearly $500,000. With the deal made on the black market, the next step is to get the bombs to Colombia. However, the operation quickly falls apart. During the transfer, local authorities discover some of the bombs before the plane even takes off.
Dang.
Salcedo narrowly escapes.
That man had the universe on his side, bro. Nigga try to come kill Pablo. Niggas get freaking niggas helicopter crash in a storm. Then the nigga trying to bomb him at the freaking prison. Now the freaking detectives freaking discover, you know what I'm saying? Discover the nigga, you feel me? Like, discover the bombs. Like, bro had freaking the universe on his side, no cap. Every time they try to do something, that nigga, something failed.
Mission is a complete failure. Several of those involved are arrested and spill the details of the plot to kill Escobar. The news of the bomb discovery is picked up by foreign media, effectively ending the Cali bosses' aerial assassination plot. However, the bosses are far from giving up. A new plan is soon devised.
They want this nigga dead so bad.
An unexpected ally, the Colombian government, who shares their desire for Escobar's death.
Nigga going against the government. This nigga going against the DA. This nigga going against hella niggas. He not just going against the freaking Cali cartel. This nigga going against DA agents, the Colombian government. Bro at war with everybody. This one man at war with all these niggas. That's how dangerous that nigga was, bro. My phone charged up. Let's get it.
The enemies of my enemies are my friends. This old saying has never been truer than when the Cali cartel decided to ally with the government to take down Pablo.
See, the Cali cartels decided to ally with the government. These niggas allying with the government. They can't beat this nigga on his own, so they allying with the government, bro. Y'all see what I'm saying? That's how dangerous the nigga was.
Never been truer than when the Cali cartel decided to ally with the government to take down Pablo. It It all started when the Cali Cartel worked with the Colombian task force called the Bloque de Búsqueda, or Search Block in English. The sole mission of this unit was the capture of Escobar. With its incredible intelligence network, comparable to that of the KGB during the Cold War, the Cali Cartel helped by providing valuable information on the Medellin boss, who was increasingly on the defensive. At that point, the war was turning in favor of the Cali Cartel, which was taking control commercially, notably by seizing several trafficking routes to the United States that were previously controlled or shared with Medellin. Consequently, its profits and market share soared. Pablo, on the other hand,
how much money do you
control
need
of his criminal empire. The reason? Internal disagreements. Some trusted allies were accused of financially benefiting from his imprisonment. Some were killed, while others turned against him. Escobar became more and more paranoid and completely irrational. The news of Cali's plot to blow up La Catedral exacerbated tensions within Escobar's inner circle. And worse, rumors began circulating that he could be transferred to a more restrictive prison. For Pablo, it was time to escape and disappear into the jungle. Sensing their enemy's vulnerability, the Cali Cartel did everything to deal the final blow by forming a self-defense group that Gilberto would call Los Pepes, an acronym in Spanish that could be translated as People Persecuted by Pablo Escobar. Los Pepes was funded by the Cali Cartel, but not only by them. The Castaño brothers, violent Colombian paramilitaries who hated Escobar, and the CIA were also involved.
Look at this, bro. This man, the government, the CIA, Los Pepper, God, leave, boy.
Among the leaders of
All these niggas gotta click up.
the self-defense group were former allies of Pablo who had held important positions within the Medellin cartel and knew many of his hideouts. On top of that, Los Pepes also received the support of many police officers and military personnel who had lost colleagues or family members because of Pablo. In short, with such an alliance, it could be said that Escobar's days were numbered. By 1993, his empire was increasingly weakened. Several of his men were killed in combat. The drug baron was now hiding somewhere in Medellin. He had only one final loyal bodyguard left to protect him from Los Pepes and the search block, both hot on his trail.
Hey. So that is part freaking 2 right there, man. That's part 2 right there, man. You know what I'm saying? But, man, this